All right, and we have our guest joining us at the moment. We have with us Gopal Agarwal, who is the spokesperson of the BJP. We have with us Mr. Manoj Bhatt, CFO of Tech Mahindra. Ashish Bhatia is founder and CEO of India Accelerator. Dr. Hemant Deshmukh is Dean of the KEM Hospital. Neeraj Bhagat is tax expert. Mr. Prashant Solomon is the MD of Chintels and the convener of the CREDAI National, as well as the treasurer of the NCR region. Alok Bansal is MD and CEO of Visionet Systems. And Sanjay Agarwal is the president of the PhD Chambers of Commerce and Industry. Let me go across first to Mr. Manoj Bhatt. Mr. Bhatt, your response to this budget, particularly from the point of view of your industry, the IT sector, anything in this budget that you found would make a big impact in terms of actually boosting the prospects of the IT industry?
I think it's investment-oriented budget across multiple sectors, but specifically for the IT sector, I think there's nothing specific per se, but if I look at the whole push towards the digital economy, I think there are certain clauses in there for digital payments, how to incentivize it and create a core of digital infrastructure. I think that push will be beneficial for the IT industry in the longer term. But specifically, I think the budget has not addressed anything for the IT industry per se. But in a longer term, I think the development of that economy in India will be beneficial for us.
All right. Let me get in a quick word from some of our other guests as well. Dr. Hemant Deshmukh is with us. He's Dean of the KEM Hospital. Dr. Deshmukh, one of the major focus areas has been healthcare. A 137% growth in the healthcare, which is a whopping increase. In fact, a lot of that, the government says, is to boost infrastructure spending. The opposition, of course, begs to differ. They say that it's only under certain categories such as vaccines, which is a one-time expenditure, and few other heads that the growth has been there. The total budget, according to them, remains more or less in the same area. How do you look at these new announcements that have been made by the government in the area of healthcare?
The present budget, which is 2021, has shown a sharp rise in the expenditure outlay, that is 2.34 lakh crore of rupees, which is definitely 137% more than 95 crores which was last year. The major focus this year is going to be 35,000 crores for purely vaccination program, and this is going to be a one-time allocation. Otherwise, the other focus areas are going to be infrastructure development in the field of sanitation, water supply, and a major focus this time is going to be definitely wellness, which was lacking all these years. Preventive, curative measures are already being implemented, but the wellness, which is very important, and a preventive aspect of any disease, like COVID-19, forms a major portion of the entire budget this time. The entire budget this time is going to improve the labs which are there in all probably the villages, the block levels. A major infrastructure boost is going to be the healthcare in the as well as the district level improvement in the infrastructure.
All right. Let me get in a quick word from Prashant Solomon. Since you mentioned infrastructure, Prashant Solomon, this is one key area. This kind of investment in capital infrastructure is something that the government believes will not just boost demand, boost spending, also create jobs in these particular areas, but is being seen as a very, very significant feature, particularly, of course, not just the pole-bound states, but other states as well, where this particular infrastructure development, whether it is rail, whether it's metro, whether it is highways, that is going to be and is being seen as a very key feature of this budget. Your response on that, Prashant Solomon?
Yes, look, it's very clear from the budget that this is geared towards long-term vision of infrastructure growth and of capital expenditure, and the real estate space as well. It's very clear that they have given more emphasis on capital expenditure overall. However, for the real estate sector, there are some good things in the budget as well. For example, REITs have been allowed to access debt funding in a much more easier way. They've given some tax benefits as well for dividends on REITs, affordable housing loan, as well as the affordable housing projects have extended the tax holiday for another year. So that is good as far as our industry is concerned, and it's very clear that it has been, they have a long-term vision with this budget of capital expenditure, which will see the benefits over the coming years.
Right.
However, we wish that there were also some incentives for public spending to increase, like the consumer spending. You know, if there were some changes in the tax slabs and more money was in the pockets of people, it would have increased the overall effectiveness of this budget.
Important point, Mr. Solomon. We have, in fact, a tax expert on our panel. We also have the BJP spokesperson who's also a renowned chartered accountant. But we'll get to this point and we'll ask this question to these two gentlemen as well. I request all our panelists to please stay with us. We have to slip into a very quick break, but we'll continue on this very important point of personal tax in just a few minutes. Welcome back. We continue to discuss the budget over here. We have with us all our experts in various domains. Let me first go across to Neeraj Bhagat, tax expert, who's with us. Neeraj Bhagat, before we went into the break, Prashant Solomon of Chintals was telling us about how he wished there was some kind of relief from the point of view of the individuals as far as direct taxes are concerned. There was, of course, some amount of confusion which was clarified by the finance minister when it comes to the tax on PF. But the fact is that in terms of slabs or relief, at least as far as the middle class is concerned, there does not seem to have been any major announcement in this budget in that regard.
You see, the tax rates were already reduced last year, and it was as expected. There would not be any major relief, but there were expectations because the COVID pandemic happened. So there was expectation that the COVID cess would be levied, which never happened. And the emphasis was on increasing the tax base and simplifying the taxes. Because ultimately, if you simplify the taxes, there would be a lot of the incentives for the foreign investors to come to India. So a lot of things have been, simplified. So which can be seen that in the tax audit turnover has been increased to 10 crores. Similarly, there has been faceless IT-80. And besides that, there have been measures to increase the tax base. Now there is a new provision in the Act wherein, if somebody purchases 50 lakhs of purchases, then the buyer has to deduct a 0.5% TDS. So the purpose of this is to, increase the tax base, because people who are not filing the tax return and buying selling a lot of goods, they also come to tax bracket. Of course, there is no relief for middle class for the tax base. But of course, this will, if the economy is in good shape, then of course the income levels will increase, and definitely, if you have a higher income level, there is no a point in not paying the taxes.
Okay.
So I think the long-term vision has been taken into view, and the government has,
Yeah, let me take that question across to Gopal Agarwal. Gopal Agarwal, the question that is being asked over here is whether perhaps some kind of relief could have been given to the middle class and to the working class in terms of the actual taxes that they pay, because clearly every year we have seen in the past relief being granted, but this year, in the context of the pandemic at least, there was a hope, there was an expectation that there could be some relief coming their way as far as taxation is concerned. Your response to that?
I think the important point is that in spite of all the constraints through which the government is going with regard to resources, direct tax collection, etc., still the government, many people were saying that there will be some kind of cess or other tax increase, etc. The government has abstained from this, and that's very important. And ultimately, all the expenditure on healthcare or infrastructure, etc., there was a report in the economic survey also that if the government increases its expenditure on the healthcare sector, ultimately cost of healthcare to the individual and middle class and all the poor sections will reduce by 65% to 35%. That's an important area. Government has provided with vaccine, 35,000 crores for vaccine, and other 112 aspirational districts will have district hospitals, special issues with regard to various virology institutes have been set up. So I agree that the government has taken a major step for making India a healthcare supergiant. That's also an important part. And with the increase in 34% of the infrastructure spend, that will also go into the help of increasing and catalyzing the economy.
Right, no, but Gopal Agarwal, one point is you said there is no increase in taxes, maybe not in direct taxes, but if you look at the indirect tax, the agri-infra cess of 30% on various food products, whether it is grains, whether it's cereals, whether it is cotton, gold, silver, fruits, fertilizers, coal, lignite, peat, alcoholic beverages, palm oil, crude, soybean, sunflower oil. These are all categories where this cess and has been put in place. So clearly it is not like there has not been any additional burden, because ultimately who will pay the cess? It will be the end user.
Madhav, that's a very important question that you are asking, and it needs a clarification through your channel. One thing is that Nirmala ji has very categorically said, in our discussion also she said later on, that ultimately the consumer will not have any impact of this cess, because the government plans to reduce the custom and import duty, and based on that, finally cess will be imposed on the reduced custom duty. So ultimately, if there is a cess or earlier cess of excise of 12.5%, the government plans to reduce it to 9 to 10%, and then on that reduced import duty, custom duty, this cess will be there. So ultimately, the reduced custom duty, import duty plus the cess imposed on that will be lower than the current that is being paid. So
that's an important point. Let me get a response to that. Sanjay Agarwal is with us. He's the president of the PhD Chambers of Commerce and Industry. Sanjay Agarwal, there's a very important clarification that has been coming in. Of course, the finance minister had also mentioned this, but many will ask, what is the point of having this agriculture cess if the other duties are going to be reduced? It's a balancing act. Of course, they're saying that net the prices would perhaps come down marginally. How do you see all of this playing out? Sanjay Agarwal.
You see, I think there must be certain valid reasons why the government needs to balance out certain taxes and duties in a certain fashion. And I would not like to comment on that, since I'm not an expert on that. What really matters is the net cost at the end point, and if that is not increasing, then I think there is a reason to be satisfied. So that is not a major concern. I think what really we should appreciate at the end of the day, I think, is the major stress from the chamber side that we'll appreciate, is the major stress on infrastructure investment in all possible sectors, whether it be rail, road, ports, airports, or any other form of infrastructure. I think the 5 lakh crore of investment that one expects from the new DFI that is going to be set up, that is also a very, very positive aspect that we are looking forward to.
Right. Let me quickly bring in.
In fact, in
addition to that, I also want to clarify.
Yes, once again, Gopal Agarwal, I'll come to you. We have some panelists who have not yet gotten a word. I just want to quickly involve them as well. Ashish Bhatia is with us. He's the founder and CEO of India Accelerator. Ashish Bhatia, a lot in this budget announcement specifically for startups and for new ventures in that light that have been made. Your response to the announcements that the finance minister made in the budget, particularly with startups in mind?
Thank you so much. So, yeah, while at a superficial level, there doesn't seem to be any earth-shattering announcement as far as startup go. But the final details do suggest that there are various positives for the startup sector. The specifics, again, if I kind of run them over quickly. The extension of tax holiday for startups by 1 year, that's a very positive step. The steps to boost digital payments, increasing threshold for small businesses to 2 CR. Allocation of funds for MSME has doubled to 15,000 crores. All very good steps. But I think one of the things that stood out for me was the move towards providing social security benefits for gig workers. Now that, I think, could be a game changer, and that will add a much needed safety net that will help this sector grow in a sustainable manner. Another new introduction is the OPC, the 1% company. I think that will allow a lot of talent to flow and will boost the startup ecosystem. I'm sure you must have noticed the move towards the digital census. So allocation of 3,000 crores for that, I think that will create a lot of goodwill among those who are betting big on digitalization and technology.
Right.
So yeah, overall a budget that enables the startup to play on the front foot. So I think, yeah, this is an exciting time for us.
All right, quick word from Mr. Alok Bansal as well, MD and CEO of Visionet Systems. Mr. Bansal, how do you look at the various announcements, particularly from the point of view of startups, from the point of view of IT, etc., that have been made in this budget?
Thanks, Madhav. As expected, the Union Budget 2021 has been focused on reviving the economy by focusing on infra development and health benefits. The budget tablet, as I would say, with focus on 6 key pillars, appears to be well-targeted booster dose for stimulating the economy. However, more focus on technology companies offering solutions in RPA, AI, automation, etc., through policy interventions like tax breaks would have helped in boosting the growth of this segment. India has so far seen very low robotics adoption compared to its regional and global peers.
Yeah.
And according to a recent study, the total number of jobs relating to developing and deploying new technologies like automation, AI, robotics related applications may grow to 20 to 50 million globally by 2030 and more than 375 million workers globally.
Right.
So the interventions like accelerating research and technology, setting up of robotics center of excellence, incubation centers, continued research grants for robotics R&D would have been the great moves. However, things like what extension of a holiday for startups for another year, which is a very good move again for the startup organizations, and the several other initiatives by the government like easing the paperwork, faceless litigations greatly contribute to India's advancement and ease of doing business.
Okay. Okay, all right. Gopal Agarwal, well, you wanted to make a point a little while earlier. You can come in now.
One more important point I would like to make, because there are people from the industry here, is the government has done a very good thing, that rationalizing import duty and custom duty, which is also related to the question of cess. What was industry demanding that over some 2-3 months, due to inflation, etc., many base metal, raw material for many industries prices had increased by 20-30%, and the government restriction on import, etc., were further fueling the prices of steel, cement, plastic, aluminium, copper, etc.
Okay.
So government has reduced those custom duties, and at the same time, those industries with MSME, etc., manufacturing products domestically, for them, those products import duty has increased. So they are getting a double whammy benefit out of this rationalization of import duty and the custom duty. That's very important. Ultimately, manufacturing industries, etc., only will create employment and good economy.
All right. Gopal Agarwal, I'd like to thank you, as well as Sanjay Agarwal, Aruk Bansal, Prashant Solomon, Neeraj Bhagat, as well as Dr. Hemant Deshmukh and Ashish Bhatia, as well as Mr. Manoj Bhatt for joining us on the show. We're going to slip into a quick break now. More news and updates coming up on the other side.